Well, we're going to go now live to New York with France 24's Jessica Masurier. Jessica, today there at the UN General Assembly, the U.S. President Donald Trump is set to speak. His speech coming, of course, after France's recognition of a Palestinian state. What can we expect? Will Trump address that issue?
Well, in the past, he's been boastful and bellicose, and I think we can probably expect that kind of tone in his speech here at the United Nations. Today, we are all going to be listening to what he says about Gaza and what he says about that conference that took place yesterday. Judging by what's been said so far, he'll probably rubbish that and call leaders of the world who've recognized Palestine as a state supporters of terrorism or something along those lines. Certainly, he is a staunch supporter of Israel, and Israel's been very unhappy about that two-state solution conference. I remember this is actually going to be the first time since 2019 that he's been here in person on the podium. I remember very clearly back in 2018, his speech was met with derision. Delegates even laughed at him when he was boastful about his track record as president. But I don't think that delegates will necessarily be laughing today, because there is a lot of nervousness about what Trump may do next on the world stage. Everyone's watching closely about how he is going to respond further to the war in Gaza. About Ukraine, everyone's going to be listening to what words he might have for Vladimir Putin. Certainly, we did have some quite strong words in this Security Council meeting that was called by Estonia yesterday, in which Trump's new envoy, Mike Waltz, said that the United States would have its allies back and warned Russia against any more dangerous incursions into NATO states' territory. But we'll really be listening for how he's going to be talking about both of those conflicts. We'll also be listening very closely to hear what he says about China. In previous speeches, he has come down very hard on China, which is, of course, one of the main adversaries of the United States in the world. Also, Venezuela. The situation in the Caribbean has been heating up, with the Trump administration torpedoing these alleged drug boats from Venezuela. And so the situation there is also getting very tense. We know that he is going to be meeting with several heads of state on the sidelines, including his right-wing ally, Milei, from Argentina.
And Donald Trump will be speaking just before 4 p.m. Paris time. We'll be covering that speech live here on France 24 for you. But there are many world leaders who are going to be speaking today there at the UN. The Brazilian President Lula, again, the French President Emmanuel Macron. And I think we're going to be getting some very different visions of the world from them as compared to Donald Trump.
That's right. There's been a lot of speculation about how this is going to pan out this day, because we've got Lula, who's kind of the voice of the global south, defender of democracy, and seen as rather left-wing, who's speaking right before Trump, and who is possibly, according to UN Watch, is going to make quite a lot of jabs at Trump and be quite critical. He's certainly been very openly critical of Trump in the past, unlike other world leaders who've rather tried to flatter Trump to get what they want. Lula's very outspoken. He's also probably going to call for UN reform and say that, this global body no longer reflects the new structure of the world. So he'll be coming on as, defender of democracy and somebody who's also defending the rules-based international order at a time when authoritarianism is on the rise. Now, we might hear something similar from Emmanuel Macron, but he is seen as much more moderate, yet he is still a counterweight to Trump and his America First aspirations and this sort of bellicose view of the world. Macron really trying to present himself more as the peacemaker with this conference yesterday, pushing for a two-state solution, recognizing Palestine. So it's going to be interesting to see what tone he takes. We can be certain that he's going to inspire world leaders, try to inspire world leaders to adhere to multilateralism and diplomacy, peacemaking, and also to international law. We had an interesting incident just last night when Macron was leaving the United Nations after that two-state solution conference, and he was filmed getting out of his car because the situation was absolutely gridlocked. And then it looked like, or he seemed to be calling President Trump to sort of jest with him over the phone about the chaos that Trump's arrival here in New York is causing, and ask for him to let him pass. Then we had images of Macron, who's sort of almost reached folk hero status for some here after recognizing Palestine as a state, walking through the streets of New York City up to the French mission or consulate, and taking selfies with passerbys and even getting kissed on the forehead.
Jessica, thanks for that. We were seeing some of those pictures of that incident as you were telling them. So thanks so much for that to Jessica Masurier, our correspondent there in New York.